Phil show. It is Tuesday, it is 6 p.m, it is Radio Arder, and I just need to introduce you to my lovely guest, Yattepia. Really nice to have you here again.
Thank you very much.
No stranger, are you, to Radio Arder?
I'm not.
Now, I don't know if you was aware, but tomorrow is Suicide Awareness Day.
Okay.
So I thought we'd actually talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Not just your views, more, I suppose, from the spiritual aspect, you know, mental health. I mean, there's a lot in the media these days about men's mental health, the fact that more young men are committing suicide. And of course, it isn't just young men. I think social media doesn't help. I think there's lots of factors that come into play. Now, interestingly, when we were talking before, you actually said that you feel with what you do, and we'll go into that a little bit, that all illness can be cured.
Yeah.
But with mental health, it's different.
It's different.
So I think, first of all, we will talk a little bit about what it is you do.
Okay.
And then explain why you think that.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep. Okay, what I do is I belong to a spiritual non-profit organisation called the Earth Centre. We have 5 schools in America, 1 in Canada, well, actually 2 in Canada now, 1 in Africa, and 2 in the UK.
Okay.
1 being London, and the other one is here in Coventry. What we do, we teach humanity's original civilization.
When you say original civilization, explain that.
Okay, before the invasion into ancient Egypt or the Nile Valley or Kemet, the world was ruled by pharaohs. Well, one pharaoh that had many kings that governed lands. Because there was only one ruler who was divinely put in power, it wasn't elected. You had to have divine legitimacy and can't get that word out. Divine legitimacy and qualities. He had to be the best person to represent the gods and the humans on earth. It wasn't about that person's going to be elected because the father was a pharaoh before. It had nothing to do with.
So we're talking about ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Okay.
And because the pharaoh had to be the best person that humanity could find, he was a representation of earth. So everybody had an input, the whole world had an input on who would be the next pharaoh. So if everybody's got the same input on who rules them, they all had to have the same understanding of life itself.
Okay.
So everybody on the planet had an understanding of where humanity was going, how they lived as a community, as a society, as a family. Everybody had their roots founded in spirituality because the pharaoh who governed the whole of the earth was based on spirituality. It wasn't just the human aspect to it.
Okay. So as human civilization, and I use the term loosely, moved away from that, this is what you teach, because you're getting people to back
to
nature.
To
that.
Yeah, spirituality isn't just about it hasn't got the concept of things floating around in space and you've got this great man looking down on you. Spirituality is about nature itself.
Yeah.
Nature on the earth, around the earth, in the universe. Everything that exists is a part of nature.
Yeah.
So what we do at the Earth Centre is to reconnect the human being back to nature, because nature doesn't consist of the physical matter. It's non-physical as well. It's a non-material. It's the unseen. And there's more going on in the unseen than there is in the seen.
Yeah.
So we try to get people back into that, to reconnect with their ancestors, orientate themselves in time and space so they know where they fit in the universe. Okay. Because a simple little thing like, do you know how long the day is? Somebody said 24 hours. Okay. So if you know how long the day is, 24 hours, do you know how long an hour is? Yeah, 60 minutes. Yeah, for you to know that, you've got to know how long a minute is. Yeah, 60 seconds. But for you to know that, you've got to know how long a second is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can get the 24 hours, you can get the day, you can get the month, you can get the year, you can get time itself, universe. But to connect the human being back to that, to find out how long a second is, you have a beat within your heart. And it's a beat that beats 60 times every heartbeat. It's called the image. that determines how long a second is. So if you can determine how long a second is within yourself as a human being, you can work at the second, you can work at the minute, you can work at the hour, you can work at the day, you can work at year, you can work at time itself. So you connect the universe down to the human being. That's the kind of mindset that we try to bring back into civilization, to connect the human being with the universe itself.
Now, I'm interested in the aspects of healing and the fact that you said, and I think, you know, a forward-thinking person must realise that everything we need to heal the body is on this earth.
Yeah.
But there are people that don't know that. So, you know, you have said that illness, dis-ease, which is unease in the body, can be healed.
Yeah.
But why did you make the statement that mental health can't? Explain that.
Very simple. We belong on the planet. There's nothing that you have in this world, whether it be mobile phone, whether it be car, whether it be aeroplane, whether it be the food, the house, the clothes, everything on this planet that we have comes from this planet. That includes diseases. It didn't come from outer space and land here and then we can't cure it.
Yeah.
It comes from the planet.
Yeah.
So whatever is on the planet, there is a cure for it. In tradition, the way we used to live is, even 70, 80 years ago, when you were sick, you got to your grandmother for a herbal remedy, because she passed it.
Woman in the
yeah,
village.
she'd pass it down from her generations,
Yeah.
going back into antiquities, and it'll pass down to generation to generation to generation. That is how knowledge used to
What
be
these
passed.
days would be called an old wives' tale.
Yes.
Yes.
But now we are sick, so-called modern technology, we are sick, and we take ourselves, the body that we house, to a stranger who claims they know it all. Tradition is 150, 160, maybe even 200,000 years old, documented. Modern medicine is only about 400 or 500 years old.
So do you think then, the time you're talking about, that people did not experience mental health issues?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Tell you why. In modern society, we are sculptured to reach aspirations, to reach expectations, to reach these fabricated dreams that have been put together by society in order for you to run the system. The dreams we aspire to is get a job. No, in fact, go to school, learn this. When you finish getting an education, get a job, have a good job, have a career, and buy the things you want. Which part of that has anything to do with you being a better person or you being a human being? Everything that we want to, everything that the society wants you to do is their goal. It's not our goal. It's not humanity's goal. It's the goal of the system. So from a very early age, you have pressure put onto you.
See, I've actually said to people in the past that I actually think when a young child goes to school, it's all about competition, being the best in the class, even sports day, competition. And I think when you're pitting each other in a competitive way, you can only be the highest, the best in the class for a short while. I know some people say, oh, well, competition, you know, a little bit of healthy competition, that's not bad. But I question that.
And what are you competing against? If you're in a classroom and somebody is the best at science in the classroom and you're making everybody else feel bad because you're best at science, is that what that person needs in their life? Are they even going to be scientists? Are they even going to have that in their life? For them to feel that they can't compete?
Yeah.
To be the best human you can be, you compete with, you don't even compete, you just be the best of yourself. Not what society wants, but you have to look after yourself, because once you're ill, society doesn't want anything to do with you except for pump you full of medicine to make sure you remain ill so that they make money. Society is about making money. The system is about making money. Nothing else. The system does not know you by name. The system doesn't know you personally. You are a number, you have that when you get your date of birth, your birth certificate.
Yeah.
So the system doesn't recognise you as a person. It only recognises the value you bring to the system. And that is a workforce. That's all the system is about, a workforce.
So basically then you are saying that this is where mental health first starts.
Yes, it's fabricated pressure. It's pressure that's not needed for the human being. It's pressure that's needed for society. It doesn't matter if you've got mental health as long as the system's running. It doesn't matter how many people are in the mental health system as long as the system's running. If they see an increase, they will try to do something to get rid of the increase, but the system has to keep running. If you're sick, You don't give them medicine to cure the illness. You find out what the illness is. Then you sort it out. You don't put medication into a person to pump them into pump something into them to make them better. You try to find out
because obviously a lot of the things that we pump into our bodies are chemical anyway, which doesn't work well with the body. But you know, that's another show entirely. I think you know, I'd like you to clarify why, you know, mental health can't be cured.
As I said
because
before,
I'm sorry to interrupt again,
right.
but there's going to be people that are tuning in and thinking,
okay, let me clarify.
My goodness.
Let me clarify. Mental, as I said before, everything on this planet can be cured, except mental illness. That's something that only the person themselves can deal with, because it's in the mind. You cannot take a tablet to cure the mind. It's in that your mental illness is based on a thought process and how you're trained to think.
But what about when the medical profession say that it's a chemical imbalance?
Right. Who says it? What makes them think it's a chemical imbalance?
I'm asking you, Yattepia, because I don't know. But they use that term, don't they? Well, it's a chemical imbalance. Do they mean that there's not enough serotonin in our brain? And maybe there's not enough serotonin because our whole environment is so toxic and people find it very difficult to find pleasure in anything because we're all so competitive and striving for things that aren't genuinely going to make us happy.
We're in a state where self-preservation has gone out the window. We've left our ability to cope, to think for ourselves, to other people who tell us they know better. How can I go to a doctor and says, hey, you know more about me than my body. I've been living in this body for 40 odd years, but you're 36, 37, you claim to know more about me than I do. Why don't we teach children in school how to deal with a common cold? It's a simple class. Why don't we teach children in school how to look after your fellow man? We don't do anything like that.
Because it doesn't serve the purpose of society.
Thank you. So keeping somebody ill or telling them that, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. My opinion is a lot of codswallop. One, the reason why mental illness cannot be cured by a professional is because a professional cannot go into your mind and tell you what's wrong with you. You have to work that out for yourself. You have to understand the way you think. And unfortunately for the people in the West, we are conditioned not to think, so we don't know how to. We don't know how to get out of that cycle of the repetitive thinking.
It's the mental loop, as I call it.
Because if you don't know how to think your way out of something, you're stuck in a cycle. Then depression starts, then anxiety starts, because you might think, I've solved it, and then you have the same kind of problem come up again, and you're back in that same loop.
Yeah, definitely.
That's mental illness. It's not a thing that you can fix with chemicals. It's a mind program. You have to remember that your thoughts are non-dimensional. They're not physical. They're spiritual.
But then we all also have to realise that thought creates, and the more you tell yourself, and I'm talking from my own experience here as well, because I was actually told at the age of 17, I was, I'd got depression, I'd got anxiety, and I was put on medication because I didn't know another way to deal with it. And I actually thought, that's my life. And the reason I suppose I thought that is because looking at my own mother, who was also diagnosed at 18, in her 70s now, and she's still on medication. And it wasn't until I actually started, sometimes you have to get to your lowest point, but once I got to my lowest point, I actually looked at other ways of coping and dealing with things, and that involved complementary therapies, hypnotherapy. So now I am a complementary therapist, I am a hypnotherapist, and I give people tools that they can use, and I say this daily, because you can't just use the tools that I give to somebody and do it for a week, that's it. No, it becomes a way of life. scientists are actually saying now that it takes 21 days to create a new neural pathway. I think it's between 21 and 40, depending on the person. It is possible to change our way of thinking, but it takes a lot of hard work.
And that's what we do at the Earth Centre. We give you the tools to change the way you think. But there's another thing about mental illness that we haven't touched upon yet, is that a lot of mental illnesses is spiritual. It has a lot to do with what's happened in your life before coming here. It has a lot to do with your ancestors and what they've gone through, and they've passed it down generation after generation. They say, oh, it's hereditary. Not such a thing as hereditary. It's passed down because there's something that needs to be fixed. There's a blockage in your bloodline that needs to be fixed, and that's the physical sign that they are giving you.
Okay.
So sometimes you might have to get spiritual healing to remove the blockages, enabling you to get better. There's lots of things in spirituality that people don't understand yet, but that's why we have the Earth Centre trying to open schools globally, because this is how people used to live. This is how people used to. We even have a class called SUNT where we teach people how to diagnose illnesses within their body.
Oh wow!
Very simple. We don't use modern technology. We use nature to cure nature. I mean, if you press here, that can tell you heart problems.
Okay.
If you press here, that can tell you things with your kidneys and it's just lots of different things that we teach people how to self-diagnose, how to diagnose others, how to relate to your ancestors, how to understand the mental thought of how humanity used to think in order to better humanity. The thing is with mental health, it's not the person that also needs to change, it's society as well.
Yeah.
It's not society turning around and saying, oh, the doctors need to change their way of diagnosing. It's all of society, the expectations, the schooling, the jobs, everything has to change to involve the person. The system has to change to involve the human being and not just see it as a money-making process.
Well, thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
You know, I because I do think that there would be people that'd be like, this woman start waving bonkers, what do you mean? So thank you for clarifying that. I think in future we need to do a follow-on to this because there's so much information that you could give. But what I would like you to do before we finish is actually give out details of where people can contact you.
Okay. The Earth Centre is, as I said, spiritual organisation, non-profit spiritual organisation. You can Google us, the earthcentre.org, and centre is spelled CENTER.
Okay.
Not the English centre. Or you can check us out on Facebook. The Coventry telephone number is 07305 995 944 or 02476 266 859. Or you can email me, yattepia@theearthcentre.org.
Thank you, Yattepia. It's always such a pleasure to have a little chat with you.
Thank you for inviting me.
So there you go, another wonderful episode, Kate Hill Show. Stay tuned every Tuesday, 6 p.m.